OK, thank you. Alors, nous passons à la troisième partie de notre réunion qui concerne les discussions concernant les groupes de travail. Et on va passer la parole à Madame Merci. Et si les gens ont des questions à poser, commencez à préparer vos questions.
Perfect, thanks. So this is a quick announcement, especially for our friends in Central Africa. Boaz is here. Olivier, Didier, we have quite a few of our friends showing up. As far as I'm aware, well, Megan is not here yet. She's going to come later on. But there's going to be a breakout room to discuss the launch of your Intersect regional, sort of hub. So please stay around, contribute to the conversation as best as you can. So at this point, I think I am going to go to the Miro board, and then I am going to share at a very high level. So over the past 2 weeks, we've done a lot of work. We are going to, this is just sort of a validation exercise. And what we want to do is to really see if we've missed anything. And then we're going to pick up from there. As I said, Megan will be joining very soon. Oh, Boaz, do you know anything about the breakout room? Yeah, Faustine is also here. Nice.
Please, can I translate what you said concerning the...
Please, thank you.
Regional. OK, concernant les hubs régionaux pour Intersect concernant l'Afrique centrale et l'Afrique de l'Est, Megan viendra en parler plus tard, mais on va trouver une date pour inaugurer le hub, en quelque sorte, pour l'Afrique centrale concernant Intersect. Thank you.
Thanks. Boss, do you have anything to say regarding the breakout room? Is it happening today?
I'm not sure because I wasn't in the last one. I came a little bit late when things were closed. I'm sorry.
Okay. So the plan was likely that there will be a breakout room for our friend speakers. But it looks like Megan is not here yet. So maybe what we will do is I'm going to go through at a very high level, what we've been doing over the past this is the third week. So over the past 3 weeks, see what we are missing. Samuel, please feel free to jump in at any point. And Edu, for you will be helping and supporting Samuel with the note taking. Is that right?
Yes.
Yes, we are good to go.
All right. So I'm going to start with group 1. There were a few of us there. And it was quite an interactive discussion, over the past 2 weeks. So we went through 9 questions. The first question, as you can see, is which parameters are able to be adjusted and why? So right now, as Samuel and Edufua said, this is our chance to contribute to the Discord going on in Catalyst. We all have our frustrations when it comes to Catalyst, but we are being given this opportunity to contribute. And even so far, they are already listening. That is the Catalyst Foundation. They are listening. And as we add on, some of the frustrations that we all feel when it comes to Catalyst, we should be able to hopefully see some changes. By the way, is there any questions, any comments, any feedback before I go on?
While you go on, we request that if there's any such contributions, people can feel free to type in the chat, and you can always come back to it. So, Mercy, please go ahead.
All right. So we did a copy and paste over here, but it doesn't look big enough. So let's go to the original. When it's big, it's not clear. So we'll go to the original. But this is what group 1 did. I'm going to quickly go through. And if we are missing anything, we can, that's why we are all here as a group. Please, let's make this as interactive as possible. So when it comes to what are catalyst parameters, so for catalyst to operate, there are a few things that needs to happen. We need to have a timeline. So there's a time that proposals go in, there's a time for community reviews, voting, proof of life, and so on. Another of the parameters will be even the mere fact that there's community reviews. Another timeline will be the fact that the voting, you have to have 500 in your wallet in order to be able to vote, and so on and so forth. So over the past 2 weeks, some of the things that we've talked about is in terms of voting, the threshold. So right now, voting is starting today. If your proposal is voted on and you don't get 1% of the total wallets that vote, even though you could rank, higher, you will not be funded if you don't get that 1%. So that was a bit of an issue for the last funding round. So the question that we are asking is this something that needs to be changed? In terms of catalyst funding timeline, that was another thing that was highlighted in terms of, some of the parameters within catalyst that needs to be adjusted. As we know, when we look at Singularity Net, they are deep funding. They started the same time as Catalyst. So the deep funding 4 started the same time as Catalyst Fund 12. They have already finished and the results are out, right? So people are not spending so many months in uncertainty, not knowing whether their proposals will be funded or not. And then also another big thing that people talked about is the allocation, the funding. How much is going to education and onboarding, how much is going to infrastructure, how much is going to DeFi, and so on, governance, and so on. So those are the sort of the high level, the big 3 from group 1. In fact, this one is actually a combination of group 1 and 2. So if anybody has anything to add to that, the floor is open. Have we captured everything? So I will wait after the presentation. I'll wait a few minutes, and if nobody adds anything, then I'll move on. So the floor is open now. Do we think, or maybe should I ask specific questions? Do we think that the timeline for Catalyst is good? Is it too long? Is it too short? Is it just appropriate? We don't want to rush through like defunding. Any comment? I'm not seeing the screen. So is anybody monitoring the screen to see if somebody has raised their hands? Is there anything in the chat? Otherwise, I'm going to move
on. Nobody is raising their hand. I'm monitoring, so maybe nobody has anything to say, so maybe we can go on.
Messi,
All right.
I was wondering, does the French translation need to come in now so it doesn't get too much to be translated?
You know what we did? We thought that there would be a separate French breakout room. Unfortunately, Megan is not here yet. I can't see. Maybe she's here, but I can't see. So we didn't really plan for the translation, but if anybody feels called to do the translation for us, that would be amazing. Or if anybody wants to contribute in French, that's also totally appropriate. Thanks for the heads up.
Laurentine is still on the call, so I think she can just help in that direction, even though we didn't.
I was really writing to you privately, Samuel, because for such meetings, it would be good that we have simultaneous translation so that those who want to hear French.
Yes, I've just admitted Megan. This is the whole thing. Megan was supposed to be here in this second part of the show to do that, and thankfully, I think she's around. Megan, can you hear me? Are you there? Hello, Megan.
Okay.
Oh, hi there. I was connecting to audio. I'm here.
Yes, you've been missed. And it's a good time to come in now because we have just started, but we need to also get information translated for our French audience. So you will be collaborating with Messi. Or Messi, do you think we should start the breakout rooms now, especially as she's here, or we can just continue and you say it in English, then Megan will take over in French as well? What do you think?
Yeah. So Megan, the breakout room that you talked about in terms of the central interstate regional hub?
That would be for after the call.
Okay, so I am going to keep going through, and maybe, Megan, you can help with, us being as inclusive as possible. But I have run through, for this is actually for group 1 and 2. I sort of put everything together. So I'm going to do the first 5 questions, and then Megan, no, actually, I think I need to do all 9. And then Megan, you can help with the ones that are not covered. So that will be group 2 and 3 questions 6 to 9.
Sorry, so I guess I know I'm just jumping in. So for this, so did we just move to the Miro board just now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was thinking we could take this like one question at a time and then go for a vote or something like that on each. So we're finalizing it. Is that what we wanted to do?
So it's basically validation, and because I looked at the Mentimeter, so that's the voting aspect of it. And it's very complicated. I mean, if we say that we are pulling the Mentimeter, everyone needs to pull it up and people need to vote, and it will be very complicated. So we've done sort of a pre-summary. So these are the summaries for group 1. These are the ones in black stickies. So if anybody thinks that anything else needs to be added or taken away, then we do that, because basically the voting is just to prioritize which stickies or which points we want to put forward, right? I mean, all these points are very good. So actually what I tried to do was to summarize them. Everything that everybody said was good. So I think it will be by validation. If people don't think that there's anything extra that needs to be added, then we can move on.
So, Messi, if I understand, and for the purposes of everybody on the call, the information on the blast stickies are the summaries, and for that matter, those ones are the ones that we are talking about.
Yeah, those are the prioritized ones.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And for the first 1 to 5 questions, I actually combined the group 1 and the group 2. So I would do for the first 5, and then Megan, I don't know if you want to help with the 6, 7, 8, and 9.
Okay, yeah. If we can move over to the other part of the Miro, I'll be able to help with that.
Yeah, so let me finish here. I started there, but because it was a frame capture, it wasn't scaling very well. So, all right. So the second question is actually, what do other ecosystems do that provide insights, which inform experimenting and adjusting catalyst operating parameters? So that's the second question. If we are all happy with the first question. So the ones that we prioritized is, I don't know, I think that the question is pretty clear. I don't know if I need to explain it a bit further, but it's basically how can we improve Catalyst, right? And some of the ones that came up is sort of listening, learning from others, trial and error. So this is actually sort of the same. And then one of the ones that everybody really liked is the reputation system from SNET, so sort of different voting systems and so on. So that's the question number 2. Is there anything that we should add? Is there anything, looking at the stickies? So that, as I said, the white ones, those are the ones that we did earlier, the last 2 weeks, and then we've summarized it, prioritized it with the black ones. Is there anyone that needs to be removed? Are we happy with that?
Bon, peut-être qu'il faut que j'intervienne un peu pour les francophones. Je pense que maintenant, il s'agit de un peu résumer les sessions précédentes avec les réponses sommaires. Alors, merci est en train de parcourir certaines réponses des questions pour qu'on se mette d'accord sur ce qu'on va soumettre comme version finale. Alors, bon, on a ici en noir les points les plus importants. Alors, si quelqu'un a quelque chose à ajouter ici, vous pouvez le mettre dans le chat pour qu'on capture aussi cet avis. Et n'hésitez pas aussi à signaler si vous avez des questions précises.
Any feedback? It looks like we did a good job with our summaries.
It's not because they're just not available anymore.
We have a
I think it's good. Would you want to throw more light on the try and error and community culture?
So in terms of trial and error, pretty self-explanatory in terms of, right now Catalyst is in Fund 12, started in Fund 1. There has been, it was always put forward as an experiment. So, some things work, some things don't work. Whatever don't work is thrown away. What works keeps being carried forward. New challenges come. So pretty much that is what that means. Just that continuous improvement.
Okay.
Okay, so should we move on to question 3?
Yes.
So the question 3 is, are community contributions such as community review, milestone proof of achievement, is it working? So for this one, by and large, people thought that the community review, milestone proof of achievement, it's a very easy way for people to get involved, right? Even if you are new, you come, it's incentivized, and you get a little bit of compensation. Obviously, a lot of room for improvement, and those are some of the ones that have been summarized. Training. If we look down here, align incentives, sort of looking at the best community reviews and rewarding them. And also, I think one of the biggest challenges, statement of milestones. I don't know how many of us here have won funding, but it can be very challenging because it's very subjective. So you can put down what you want to achieve and how you want to achieve it. And when you do that, whoever is reviewing, so there will be a community person that is reviewing. Sometimes they don't get the whole context, or there's a lot of nuance. So one of the ways that somebody suggested that it could be improved is that, it's just a form. I think this came from group 2, actually. This would just be a form. Everything is clear, and then it's tick, and then it's very simple. Anything that we want to add or take away?
I just want to say that in terms of the training for community reviewers is something that Catalyst must look at and make sure they train people adequately. I had the opportunity to be a milestone reviewer this funding round, and going through reviews that have been put forth by our committee members was, for want of a better language, there needs to be an overhaul, a complete improvement. The system is like you just register on it, and straight ahead you are given the chance to review. And so people come in, they start from level 0 and they start reviewing. And there's very little or no training for that. So sometimes stuff people write, and considering the proposals that have been put forth, do not really align. So I think there should be more orientation and more training, especially for those level 0 people who start reviewing on their maiden edition, something like that. And more so, the incentives are something that I think they should also look at in terms of, like you said, getting more, getting to identify the best reviews as is done elsewhere, and maybe rewarding such stuff that will motivate people to put in the best. Because the whole idea of this funding rounds and, going through the process of getting funded and things, much of it, or the pivot of it, has to come with the reviews from the community members. So they should pay more attention to training and the incentive aspect. Yeah, thank you.
Perfect. Thanks for that feedback. Any more before we go on to the question 4? Any feedback? Are we happy with the prioritized list? Is there anything we are forgetting? All right, so I will move quickly for time. Move to question 4, and the question 4 is, what if any new contributor roles should be part of Catalyst, but currently aren't? So as you can see, there was a lot of discussion. Some of the discussions in group 2 was pulled over here. So the group 2 one, I put them down here. So there needs to be a Project Catalyst onboarding team. There needs to be Project Catalyst ambassadors. And this is all just to help newcomers come onto Catalyst. Some of the other issues that came up is incentivized mentors. So mentors that actually guide people into Catalyst. And then a body to ensure a more diverse range of proposals and inclusivity in funding decisions. Also innovation scouts to identify and encourage groundbreaking project ideas. So those are the ones that is being prioritized for now. Anything that anybody wants to add or take away? All right. I'm going to move over to question 5. And question 5, did I? Yeah, so that's question 5. What features would improve Catalyst that aren't already available? So that's question 5. Somebody talked about a proposal pre-selection committee. So actually this round, they did that on a limited scale for one of the rounds, the partnership real world assets round. So, they called for proposals, and then there was a committee that shortlisted the proposals. So maybe that could be a way of screening too many proposals, some of them not very good. So that's yet to be seen. And then somebody also came up with a very good idea regarding, in terms of the proposal, sort of the submission platform, it should be more interactive, whereby there's a chat box that answers questions for newcomers live, right? So those are the 2 big ones. I think because I've been speaking too much, I'm going to hand it over to Megan. So what we did, so this is the WADA Global Online, consultation. And what we did was that we tried to pull everything together in terms of, there were 3, so for this Catalyst working group, there were 3 main categories that we're supposed to look at. We're supposed to look at funding priorities. We're supposed to look at accelerators and incubators, and also this Catalyst operating parameters. As you can see, we spend about 5, majority of the time almost, looking at these Catalyst operating parameters. That was because that is what we were selected to discuss. However, because we're a big network, we added 4 more questions. So 2 of them came from the funding priorities, and 2 of them came from accelerators and incubators. So as I said, we have this data here. I'm not going to go through that for now. I think we need a change of voice. So maybe when Megan finishes and there's time, we can come back to this question. But most of these, pretty much, they are captured in the group 2 to 3. So I'm going to move over to where Megan will be able to help to, hopefully we can have a discussion.
Okay, excellent. And then I see some stuff has been in the chat. So just to mention, especially Olivier's last comment, carrying out satisfaction surveys after financing proposals. I think that's an interesting thing we could add on here.
Perfect.
So it's Mercy who's sharing screen, is that right?
Well, I'm sharing. Is that okay for you?
No, it's good. I was just going to ask if someone else could read the questions, because I guess I didn't move the questions over to the top part.
All right. I can, if you, I can read it. I know that people should be tired of my voice by now, but I can read it if that works.
Well, just because they're not pasted up here, so you'll have to scroll over to the other part to read them.
I have them here.
Oh, okay. Great.
So, yeah. Where do you want to start? Do you want to start from question 6?
Yeah.
For 2 and 3? Okay. So question 6 was, where are the main investment hubs you know of in your region? I wanted to know about who is hosting startups, technology events for blockchain, for tech, and so on. So these 2, so the 6 and 7 has to do with accelerators and incubators. And the first question, as I said, is where are the main investment hubs you know in your region?
Yeah, so thanks for passing over to me. I was the most excited for these questions. Some of you know the Cameroon team actually did our workshop exclusively on this section. So that's what I was especially the most excited about. And I think it's also one of the more interesting kind of topics in terms of how we can improve like the overall Catalyst experience, because getting funding is one thing, but then, you know, what happens next? Like it's supposed to, you know, be a starting point and then giving you your own wings. So really how this community can then nurture us afterwards is the most important. And that's where I think, especially if anyone has anything to add on this call for these particular questions, it would be really valuable to suggest them. If anyone has any ideas, especially for our African context. Because what we sort of came up with in the subgroups, I know we had a group participating from Cameroon and from Ghana that suggested local, I guess, accelerator programs. But if there were any others that were more Africa-wide, it could be useful. So just to summarize, there was a specific one in Cameroon called Jongo Hub. There was a specific one in Ghana called Cosmos Incubator Center. We also referred to, you know, the idea that the WADA hubs could ideally serve this purpose in the future. Something that's lacking is maybe the funding for us to be able to, you know, support in a significant way. But in terms of connecting to resources and in terms of, in the past, we've even run sort of mini accelerator type programs, business development programs for all of the hubs. So I know that's been partially there. There was also, you know, the Goma hub that was brought up as another resource, and then the idea of connecting to universities. So maybe I'll pause just in case there's anyone on the call who wants to add anything in this section, specifically about, you know, thinking what kind of opportunities exist for us post-funding to incubate and accelerate our programs or our products outside of Catalyst.
Which I really like too. No.
But, you know, feel free to write in the chat if you have anything, and we can move on to the next question.
Okay. So the question 7 also has to do with accelerators and incubators. And the question is, what do Catalyst funded projects need most after they have been funded?
Okay, so what do Catalyst projects need most post-funding? This one we had like a variety of answers. I think the biggest one was something around mentorship. We talked about that in terms of like product development, but also in terms of financial or accounting support, like financial management for the project. There was another point brought up about some like a better space for collaboration, sort of in the same way that we've had like in the past have had challenge categories and then had, you know, Discord channels or groups for that, but it hasn't felt like it's been the most accessible place for collaboration across similar projects. I think there's still, you know, a lot of competition that seems to be hard to navigate. The other point is developers. There's often a disconnect between either people have a strong technical background or they have strong innovative ideas. So especially for the people with good ideas, how do they get connected to developers? And then for developers who are active in Catalyst, how do they get connected to good projects where they can participate? In terms of mentorship, I think this marketing strategy really comes into the mentorship as well. So just a lot of feedback was kind of about, mentoring and counseling or guidance on some of these things, because I think a lot of projects will not maybe underestimate how much is needed for marketing, everything like that at the end. They just want to develop a product. And then how do they actually launch it at the end? Realize that, it's actually, there's a whole lot more to do. And a lot of times we're faced with trying to keep the budgets as slim as possible. And so that part often doesn't get prioritized. So maybe if there was more support from Catalyst afterwards. And I think there's like an opportunity, right, for all of our products to be advertised together. These are Catalyst funded products and things like that. I think that kind of summarizes what's here.
Yeah. Anyone has anything to add before I move
on? Some people, am I coming through?
Yes.
Yeah, I think Boaz and Olivier have put some answers in the chat. If we can quickly go through that. Olivier, for instance, is talking about the question 5, and he said we should carry out with satisfaction surveys after financing proposal. I don't know if you captured that already. And
so that one, I think that there's already something like that. So after the round, right? After each funding round, there is a survey. So I'm saying this so we can all be on the lookout for these surveys, because they also ask for feedback. But Olivier, thanks for bringing that up, because a lot of the time we sort of I myself, I need to do better in terms of completing some of those surveys, but it's also another strong avenue to get our voices heard. So thanks for bringing that up.
And Boaz writes quite long. I'll try and read it. He's talking about nuances of proposals. He says proposals can have varying degrees of merit. A simple yes or abstain vote might not show if you slightly favor one proposal over another, or if you think a proposal needs some work but still has potential. He continues to say rank choice voting. This could rank proposals in order of preference. So you could pick your favorite proposal as number 1, your second favorite as number 2, and so on and so forth. This allows a more nuanced ranking of proposals. You want to react to that?
Yes, that's a good idea. I think that's what they did for the interim constitutional committee voting, right? It's rank choice. So I think that these are things that we need to scribe, capture as notes. Thanks a lot, Boaz.
And personally, I want to take us back to the community review thing and another thing. Catalyst flagged some reviews. And this time round, we found that most of the flag, they look at some areas. One, they look whether the review has any form of profanity, whether it has similarity with another review, whether it's AI generated, and stuff like that. But most of the flag reviews, especially those that were tagged as having profanity, a lot of them had no profanity actually. So it was quite strange for a proposal to be flagged as having profanity, but read and you see that there is nothing. Also, most of the reviews were flagged as having AI generated intent, but you read it and sometimes you think as the other way around. And there were also so many proposals that you read. There are long sentences, there are a lot of comments, and these are the the things that we actually use to identify whether a review is AI, and those ones too are not flagged. So there was a bit of confusion in terms of the flagged and the unflagged proposals. That can be worked a bit more going to the next funding round.
That's good to know. Thanks for sharing that feedback. So I think we lost Megan for a little bit. I don't know if she's back. But if not, we will just quickly look at the questions 8 and 9. So for the question 8, the question is.
You want me to read for you?
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah, the question 8 says, what are the Cardano ecosystem priorities that funding should be deployed towards? Sub-question is there, what evidence can establish that these are key priorities? The last one, when should catalyst funding be targeted towards these priorities?
Perfect. So this is something that I believe Bernard and his team did. So we sort of also had a discussion, sort of tried to pull out at a very high level. So some of the things that came up, onboarding, governance, education, local use cases, which is huge. Is there anything else that needs to be captured? Maybe we can go down and see.
There's also infrastructure development.
That's right. Infrastructure development is a big one. Okay, so
and there's a mention of IT industries. I don't know what exactly.
Okay. Yeah, so that's infrastructure, right? So sort of smart contracts and so on. Yeah, that would be IT. So, so that's for the question 8. Are we all happy with that? Anything else that we need to add? Should we go over to the question 9 then?
Yeah, I guess so, since no one is actually saying anything.
I think we've had quite good discussions over the past couple of weeks, and these are sort of, in a way, a vote for us, a vote and a validation to see if we are missing anything or not. So I think that so far so good. So for the question 9, the question is, what data is important to the community to help make decisions on what to vote for? So so for group 2 and 3, this is what came up: the capability or capacity to collaborate with existing resources. Community review done by groups. Okay, yeah. So this is one that I really liked, right? And even the voting, whereby, let's say, in LATAM, right? If there's a proposal that's coming from LATAM, when it comes to reviews and so on, there needs to be, more LATAM people doing that review. It comes to voting, there needs to be more LATAM people doing the voting because they actually understand the local context, and that obviously translates to Africa as well. There were talk about new voting systems. Right now is very heavily favoring people with a lot of ADA. Is there a way that, for instance, look at what Singularity Net, they are deep funding, what they are trying to do. So if you are active in the community, you build reputation. I'm not saying that it's easy, but that reputation sort of adds weight to your token, right, when it comes to voting. So I think we're going to wrap it up here. Megan, is Megan back? Does she want to say anything?
Yes, I think he's back. I admitted.
I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
Sorry.
I think, we can maybe wrap it up now, unless anyone has anything more to say. Or Megan, if you want to wrap it up.
Well, yeah, I think you highlighted the points I wanted to highlight on this last section. What came up in a lot of the groups that I was in on this last question was about how to, incorporate more of like local context into the reviews. Whether this could be like local categories, whether there could be, like you're saying, some kind of a reputation system where you can build like a stronger weighted either vote or voice of community review if you're more familiar with a region or a specific area. But I think that's captured here. So I think this is good. I do see a hand up. Maybe we could.
I'm going to. Should I stop sharing? So that we can see.
No. Oh, not so soon. Maybe somebody has the question on it, then we can address.
Sure. Then I can go back. It's very easy to.
Yeah.
Megan,
did you say somebody's hand was up? Can you invite them to?
Yeah, I see Bernard has his hand up. But so maybe we can take just any quick feedback, and then we can continue the discussion. But I do want to also give a chance to open up a breakout room for the French speakers. Maybe while discussions continue in the main room. But Bernard, welcome.
Greetings, everyone. Sorry for being late. I was on the road. I joined with my phone. So I requested to collect all the other things from here and also to share some of our proposals. I've got a feedback on what Samuel raised about flagging and filtering of proposals by community reviewers or moderators. This is happening all the time. It's a good practice. The only thing that is missing there is there must be dispute resolution. And then if you are still not satisfied with that committee handling, for example, you said you filtered my proposals and said there's profanity, and then you check there's no profanity. There must be a way where what do I do next? Because my proposal has been filtered out, because it means I'm out of the game. And it can happen to anyone. So there must be a way where I can write an email to a committee and present that they said this, but my review it, and then they review it objectively. And if they find that there was a filtering error or a flagging error of some sort, then they must put back those proposals onto the main road to catalytic voting, so that those applicants are not disadvantaged. If that committee arrives at another decision and you are not satisfied, there must be another final, what we call escalation, because like we say, sometimes there are differences on people who are working together like this. So this will be a way where our proposals, the way they are handled from time we submit them to the time voting happens, there will be a form of a transparent, clear democracy. I don't know.
Hello, Bernard. I want to quickly react to that.
Yes.
What you have just said. Okay, so this is why the flag proposals are also exposed to the community, the milestone reviewers, to also check whether indeed what was flagged was right or otherwise. So, like I said, when it's flagged, for instance, when you propose, when your review is flagged as having profanity, it is a duty of the LV2 reviewer to check that and confirm. If there is profanity, yes, they allow it to go. If there is no profanity, there is a way that you
put it back.
Yeah, you say that, okay, there is no profanity, so it gets back to it. I was saying that in order to avoid some of these things, the procedures that these reviews go through to be flagged must be re-looked at so that it doesn't become like it's flagged and somebody has to do it. And sometimes, as human nature as it is, sometimes people, some of the LV2 reviewers see it and they let it go because there are many and they have to cover within a certain space and stuff like that. But I think what you are saying is also very relevant. Even after that, people should be given the opportunity to see why their reviews were not included, and they can protest, and it goes through all the channels that you're talking about.
Exactly. That's the point.
But I should also think there is even a way out of that, because they also brought a form post the closing window for all LV2 to fail. And in one of the requirements, you were supposed to give your Discord handle or Telegram handle or even email. And the rationale was that your moderation will be exposed to the reviewers, and if they have any questions as to why you pass their reviews as valid or not, they can contact you and you discuss with them. So maybe something is being done in that direction. I don't know. Thanks.
Thanks.
So, hi, this is Leo. I've been away a while and I'm just coming back. I've just been listening to this, so forgive me if I miss some of the context, but it seems like when proposals are being reviewed, sometimes they are being manually flagged by a human as having profanity, and then we check and we see that they don't have profanity. So I think before the blockchain world existed, this was a problem that had already been well solved in IT. You could do automated searches for keywords, and whatever post can be rejected based on the fact that it contains certain keywords. So I think if we're talking about how we can improve things, one possible suggestion would be to say that the flagging of profanity should be automated. Then we know that it would work, like we've seen it working on the internet, and it's not subjective or possible that someone would make a mistake. So that would be my suggestion if I have the context right. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a great submission. I think, yes, it will solve most of these problems that we are talking about. And if something can even be done about whether a review is AI generated or not, that is also a critical area that I think Catalyst must do something about it, because that can also be subjected to for a subjective opinion, and it doesn't really help.
Yeah.
One last question. Is there anyone here who is on the Catalyst right at the top there, here within ourselves? I found profanity on proposals. I wrote to the Catalyst and I sent them the idea scale Catalyst ID to say, blacklist, remove this whole account. They didn't do it. How that profanity was injected into that was, the proposal was okay, there was no profanity because there are links. Click the link, it takes you to their website. But I think those people who got upset on not being funded, then they went to that website, loaded profanity images all over there. So when you are on that site, on all those links, everything is fine. And when you click that link, you land onto that very ugly website. But I wrote emails to the Catalyst and said, please, this account, you can click these links and see it, and I made copies to see it to them. I never saw any reply, and that is the painful part. And then number two, nothing was done about that. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. So let's take note of that. That will be part of the scribing, and we will submit it as part of our notes. Yeah, this is good. Edufua and this, okay, in actual fact, we have this as part of the recording, right? Some of the stuff in the chat, really good. So we'll capture all that. So I think that at this point, we will wrap this up. Has the breakout room been done? Yeah, looks, oh no, Megan is here. Megan, do you want to do the breakout room now? I think we can stop recording and then people are free to go, or those that want to join the breakout
Okay,
room.
and Mercy, there is this also that we need
survey.
to, yeah, well, there's this one that is very key. People must fill this particular form to actually get to know how many people took part in this whole catalyst working group and stuff like that. So maybe if it's maybe next week we can share that, I don't know, or we can put in the socials for people to fill the form, as we also work on the final aspect of the Miro board and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think we can put it in the summary that goes out, and who knows, maybe it might be a good idea to offer some, I don't know, some incentive for completing. But we can talk about that separately. So yeah, thank you everyone. I'm glad that we have wrapped this up. Megan, over to you. I don't know what you want to do in terms of the breakout room. But Leo, it's so good seeing you after so many weeks.
Thank you. It's good to be back.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, we can, people can slowly wrap up in here if you want to be chatting. Entre-temps, on va créer une petite salle à côté pour les francophones. Surtout moi et Boaz qui voulaient présenter un peu une initiation du Intersect. Nous allons lancer Goma comme un hub régional d'Intersect avec quelques événements dans le mois de juillet. Alors, c'est pour en parler de ça. So we can go ahead and open the breakout room then. And then any French speakers who want to talk about the Goma Intersect regional hub can come and discuss over there. Thank you.
Thanks, Megan. So yeah, those that want to complete this, please go ahead. Is it in the chat? We will likely also send it out as part of the summary for this call. And those that want to go have a discussion regarding the Central Africa Intersect Regional Hub Lunch, please jump into the breakout room. Otherwise, I think we are done. Thanks everyone for your support. As always good to have you, and please join our socials. Thank you.
Thank you, Mercy. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
If Laurentine is on the call, thank you very much for the first part and the wonderful job you did. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, Josh.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Thanks, Bernard.
Hey, Rachel. We missed you for the most part, but great to see you. We just wrapped up. We normally start at 4 p.m. UTC. Where are you calling from? Rachel, if you are talking, can't hear. All right. So if we close this, that will affect the breakout room, right?
I should think so. So so maybe Fireflies and yourself and Eduva can stay behind.
I am not staying. Thank you very much. Maybe we can leave Fireflies here.
Yeah.
Fireflies will spy on everybody. All right. Thanks.
And since Edufa opened the room, I don't know if she can also